right, so we have this game that we've been working on, and at this point we have a player that could jump and crush the can, and then when it's crushed, we want to be able to push it off the shelf, but if it pops back up, we want to have to run away from it. When the can is crushed, we want to be able to push it safely without losing a life. Let me switch to the game window. Here we had put a text for the debug text. Let me add another text. Let me just copy this one. Debug text, Control D to duplicate. And let's have a text for the life. We will move that one down. I have text life selected. And here I'm going to move down the position text life. And this isn't debug text. This is going to kind of be like gameplay text. So I'll change the color. Well, we'll just make it blue for life. And then I'll make another duplicate of that. And this one will be score, text score from there. And we'll call this one text score. Now the life and the score, those are going to be values that throughout the game, all the scripts and all the game objects should know about. So I'm going to put those variables into my globals class. My globals class, it's static, meaning that the values set here, they're set for the whole game. I had a static text for debug. Let me add two more. Private static text for text life, and then a private static text for text score. And now the way I have set debug text, and I have two more, so I could set the text for life and score. This one will be set life text, and this one will be set score text. Okay, now in set life text, instead of text debug everywhere, text life variable equals null, then copy, paste. Text life is going to find a game object with the tag text life. Okay, so we'll have to make a tag. And if it's not null, then I can set the text for it, paste. And then here for text score, it's going to be text score. And let me just put in the other two. And right here. And this is going to be score instead, so text score will be the tag. So I need two more tags, text life and text score. So here, let me pick the text life and let me add another tag, text debug. I'm going to put text life, that's one. And then I'm going to add another text score. So text life, I'll tag it text life, text score, I'll tag it text score. And I have a function I could call to set those values. Now I want something that's going to hold those values, public static int life, and I'll say you have 3 lives in the beginning. It's an integer, so I don't have to put the F. Okay, so that's an integer type life. And the other thing, public static int again, will be my score, which starts off at 0. So now in the globals, I have a life and a score. Who is going to control updating these things here, the life and the score? So the player is going to move around, and let's say a life is taken away when the can touches the player. So let's do that first. So here's the can. Right now the can, let's just go to outline everything, see what we have. Okay, we don't have an on collision enter function, so private void on collision enter. The can has touched something. Now there is something that's okay for the can to touch. That's the plane, that's what it's going around on, but we want to test for if the can actually touches the player. So collision.gameObject.compare tag to player. What do we do? I'll have to think about how to do this, since when I jump on him, it's going to be a situation where they're touching. But when I jump on it, it's just supposed to smash it. But if the can touches me and I'm not jumping on it, then that's when it's not okay. I think what we'll do is, okay, we know we touched the player. Let's get a reference to the player script so we could ask questions about it. Script player, okay, equals collision.gameObject.getComponent player. That's the script name, player. I want the player script object. If the player is coming down from a jump and we touch it, that's not going to be the case where I'm going to lose a life. So I'll ask the script query to the player, public bool is player attacking. And this function is going to check the logic and return true or false. If the player is attacking, we'll come back to this and fill this in. Right now we'll say false. Now here in the can, we'll ask if script player dot is player attacking right there, tab equals false. Then we are going to take a life from the globals dot life minus equals 1. We're going to take away 1 point from life, globals dot set life text without passing any value, because basically I always wanted to show life. So I'm going to change what I did here about showing a message, and anytime set life is called, basically what it's going to do is it's going to just display the same thing, same string format, life space 0 for the first parameter, which we only have 1, and that will be the life value. And that means the same thing could happen with score. You know, I'll change the score value, and then I'll come in here and I'll just have this display the score, string.format, score 0. No, I passed parameters. Took a life away and we'll display the life. And right now, is player attacking? It's always set to be the player is not attacking. So let's try this out. See that when the can touches us, if we lose a life. I'm the player, I could be moving around, and basically when it touched me, you see my life went to 2. Now if it touches me again, life goes to 1, and then life goes to 0. That should be game over. Life goes to -1. But the thing's working with the life. I have to fix the player is attacking function. So now here it's always returning that I'm not attacking. What we want to know is, when am I attacking? If I'm attacking, one thing I know is that the previous velocity y has to be less than 0. If previous velocity y is less than 0, I'm attacking. So let's do these tests here. Bool return equals false. I'm not attacking. If, and then over here I'll return whatever the value winds up being. So my first test is if previous velocity y is less than 0, like I'm coming down, then I'll say that return equals, sorry, my dogs are barking, true, I am attacking. Let's see if just this one if statement can be the difference. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to press play again, and let's see what happens. First, I'll just sit still, I'll be touched, and life is 2. Now I'm going to jump on top of the can, and good, I didn't lose a life. Cool. So now let's do the part where I add a score. So here's a thing where I'm the player, and I land on the enemy, and I do the whole stomp effect, and I crush the can. So here I'll do the globals.score plus equals 1. We'll just add 1 point for crushing the can. And then I'll say globals.set score text to update the display on the screen. If it's already crushed, I shouldn't be able to get points already. For the can, I want to make it this mode, I want to make it public. It has a squiggly underline over here because a new mode is private, but I'm saying this variable is public, so that doesn't match up. So this will have to become public. But now that it's public, just saying a new mode is kind of obscure because I could have modes on different scripts. So I'll enhance the naming and say enum can mode. And I don't have to put the word enum in front. I'm just putting the word enum in front. So when the IntelliSense shows, it kind of shows up. I just got to press E and I can tell what the enums are. And here in the player, I have a script can. I crush the can, but I only want that to happen if script can dot mode equals dot fixed. So I only crush the can if it's fixed. Otherwise, it stays crushed. Reset the timer. So I'll still call the can crush. I'll only add a point on the first jump. So now with this code here, it should be checking the can is fixed to get a point. Let's go and try that out. Always trying things out as we code along. So I jump on it and I didn't get a point. Gosh, that's not good. I didn't get a point. So something's wrong. Oh, I didn't save it. You see this little star? Save the code. I'll still show you this other thing. Sometimes when you run the code, you want to know what actually happens. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a breakpoint in my code, and I'm going to run the code right here attached to Unity. So this is running the code, and now when I play the Unity game, it's going to be that code from Visual Studio is going to be attached to Unity, and it will hit that breakpoint, and I can go step by step to see what the code actually does. And I'm going to jump up on the can, and it hits the breakpoint. So now I'm in debug mode, and if I put my mouse over things, I could see values. I could see that right now the script for the can equals null, but right after it runs over this line to get the component, the can script from the collision object, now script can is not null. So script can dot crush can is going to be called. I could step over the command to just in this right here in this function, just keep going command, command, command. But this command calls crush can. If I want to go to see what happens in crush can, I could step into with a F11, and now it brings me to the crush can function, and I could step through this. The local scale, which right now is 151, and then it's going to get set to 1.3.2, 1.3, the crushed version of the can. Then the mode, which equals fixed, after it passes over this command, mode is going to equal crush. And we're going to mark the time that this happened. Right now it doesn't have a value, but when I run over it, I could step out of a function. So I want to step out of this function back to where I came from. That's where I was. And I kind of step to the next command. So this is actually, these stepping through the commands is what happens when the program's running, when the script is running, but it just happens super, super, super fast, like in nanoseconds. But when I'm in debug mode, I could actually step, step, step every command one at a time and see what the values are. So now the can is in crush mode, and right here it says if script can mode equals fixed, then I'll add a point. But the can is in crush mode, so this if statement is not going to happen. And this else if it finished, it's at the end of it. So then it comes to the next thing it's at the end of. If the previous velocity y is less than 0, if the object was coming down, it comes to that if. And then it comes to this bracket, which you look at the dotted lines, is the end of the on collision enter function. I'm just going to remove the breakpoint and let the game go. I'll just let it continue. So you see I crushed the can, but the score didn't go up still. Why? The score didn't go up because the can was in crushed mode. That's why. What we're going to have to do is script can crush crushes the can. It puts it in crush mode. So we're going to have to put this check here for the score before we crush it. So let me stop debugging. Then I'll cut that code and put it up above the can crush function because the can crush is going to set the mode to crush. See, so now I switch the order of the commands, and I'll put the breakpoint again in here so we could see this. This is important, learning how to debug. I'll attach it to Unity again, and then I'll go back to Unity and I'll press play, and let's see. We jump on it and we hit the breakpoint. First thing, script can, we get the script. The mode is equal to fixed. Good. So now we could get a point, set the score text, and then the mode is still equal to fixed, but after we run over crush can, we're just going to step over it this time. We could see that the mode equals crushed. And that's the problem. We just had these commands in the wrong order. All right, now remove that. I'll let her rip. And let's see. That was 1 point. And if I jump, oops, wait a minute. I want to jump on it to get the point. So 3 points. And while it's crushed, I can't get more points. I can't get more points until it pops up again. 5 seconds, and then it pops up and crush it. 4 points. Now we did see something happen. This is kind of what happens. You know, you're playing your game and you notice that, hey, that wasn't fair. I just crushed the can without jumping on it. Where is the test for that? That if the can and the player touch each other, ooh, I'm supposed to lose a life. So that means a function wasn't working totally. Which function do I have to check for that? The isPlayerAttacking function. So here I said if previous velocity is less than 0, we could do this. We could put a breakpoint here to see what's going on when this isPlayerAttacking is called. Or we could go to the can and we could put a breakpoint here on the collision enter, which I think is, this is where I really want to put it, or the player hits the can whatever, they touch each other. So here we go. I'm going to press play. And there, they touched each other. And on collision enter happened. Yes, the collision object is the player. Then we're going to point to script. And the script player is attacking. Let's step into that. F11 is attacking. So by default, we're going to say we're not attacking, but the previous velocity y equals a negative value. And then, therefore, it returns true. So I think I'm going to press stop here. And let me go back to the game and let me stop the game. I think what we just have to do is add more checks. We also know that when we're attacking, we have to be jumping. We have to be in the air. Let's say that the previous velocity has to be less than a -1. We have to have speed and be coming down on it. Let's see if that helps. Here we go. We're going to try that. So when I'm moving around, I move, and there we go. There we go. The life is left. Oh, but one of these, yeah, the life should be -1, -3. But then somehow I didn't jump, and that thing still took a life out. I think I'm really going to have to detect when I'm jumping. So I'm going to say 0, back to 0, and I'm going to have a variable that actually, tracks that I pressed the jump button. So let's put that back in. Private bool is jump equals false. In the update function, when I press the jump key over here, is jump equals true. This means I pressed the jump key. I could get rid of this thing here and use a more accurate thing. Is jump equals false. I can only jump if I'm not jumping. When is the jump over? The jump is over when I collide down on the ground. Is jump equals false. You just check to make sure I can still jump now with these changes. Here I come, and I'll press play and see if I can jump still. So I jump, but I can only jump off the floor. I can't keep jumping when I'm in the air. And what happens to my scraping sound when I'm walking around? So that works. Now in the is attacking, we'll see that we're coming down and is jump equals true. Let's see if that's more accurate, because I guess sometimes the game objects bump into each other and they jiggle a little bit and maybe they come off the floor. I got a score somehow. All right, let it pop back up. Because unless I press jump, I should not be able to get a score. Oh, man. Now my character's all crazy. See, it twisted around somehow. So the player, I want it to stay facing that way. I'm just going to have to lock all rotations on the player. Let's try this again. Yep, I lose a life. I lose a life. And somehow I got a score. I didn't press jump. I can't get a score. Let me check that part with the collision. On collision enter, I hit the enemy, play the stomp sound. Oh, okay. Here I can't get a score unless, and the double ampersand means there's two conditions for the if. This is the first one, that the mode has to be fixed, and is jump equals true, that I'm still jumping. And here the order of things matter, because up here in this part, it's doing the checks for the jump, and then at the end of the function, it'll finally set jump to false. I think that should fix that problem. Let's see. So play. Yep. All right, I think that fixed the problem. Cool. All right, so we got those two things. That's a pretty big video. We'll add in the next video, maybe shoving this thing off the edge only when it's crushed.